Thank you very much.
Just sit down.
24 years. I did my national service here, my army here, so I knew a bit about Oudtshoorn. I knew how hot it was in the summer, and the guy that was here was actually immigrating to New Zealand, so the practice was on the market, and yeah, so I bought it from him. It's a lovely little town, so we're very happy here.
Oh, glad. We're glad to have you, obviously.
I worked here for a couple of years, and then Dr. Charles Deacon used to be the full-time vet here. And he used to come over and that, and then one day, actually thanks to some of my colleagues that were at the Pretoria Zoo, they told the curators that were here that I am here and that I can possibly help them out, and that's just, I mean, it was Kango that actually got me involved in the wildlife as such,
Wow.
and the carnivore work specifically. So this is where my interest was nurtured. It's very small, so the information is not vast. You can't get volumes of information. Some people only give an anesthetic to an animal once in their time there, and then they share that with other people. So I'm a very good colleague and friend is Peter Cordwell. He was doing the Wilt's cheetah up in Pretoria, and he and I communicated, and I mean, basically we just help each other a lot, and he helps me a lot. But the exotics world is very free sharing. I mean, I can contact anybody. I've got friends in London Zoo, and we contact each other and we share information.
Wow.
It's nice people that are involved in that industry. So
That's animal people for
they
you.
they share everything, which is nice. You can always pick up the phone and just ask somebody, and they'll give you the doses and the rates and what to be careful of. The strangest one, I mean, Kango challenges me all the time. It's lemurs, and it's flipping snakes, and it's bearded dragons. I think Malcolm, the marabou, was the biggest challenge because he had an obstruction, and we didn't really know what to do with him. And I mean, basically, the day before we euthanized him, we decided to open him, and thank goodness for that, because I mean, he's a walking example of tenacity. I mean, it was thanks to Narinda, and they just wouldn't give up. Delana, and and we didn't know what we were doing. I've never opened a marabou in my life. I mean, there was this huge bird, so we had to, there's no textbook on that, so we went in blind and we operated and we sorted him out, and he came right. And I mean, so he was quite a nice, you get ones that you lose as well, but he was one of the success stories. Yeah, it's difficult because you have to be a very good time manager. And the only way I can exercise is we get up at 4:30 in the morning. And we run, and then we run on Saturday mornings early. We get up 5, so that by the time your exercise is done, the day is yours. And that's usually the time when people don't bug you. So unfortunately, that's just the thing. But we get it done. I mean, I get it in the day, and it's quite tiring. In the afternoons, you get tired sometimes, especially in the summer. But absolutely. But it's just a passion, I think most vets are like that. They just have sort of this inherent will to be available, and they do it. There are a lot of one-man practices where the guys have been on call for 30 years. They're just always available. Not many, but every year in the season when the little ones get thrown out or fall out, they come here. Everybody that doesn't know what to do with an animal brings them to the vet. So we end up with a lot of tortoises and a lot of owls. The owls, I basically have a policy where I will feed them for about 2 weeks, keep them here in an enclosure, and then I leave the enclosure open, and then they start flying, and they come back, and then they fly, and then eventually they go. They come back for food, and then they go. We don't see them again. So that's sort of, for me, sort of a passive way of getting them back into the wild. And they obviously go out and find territory, because I know they're very territorial. They don't like, the others will kill them if they get into their territory. So they have to go and find their spot, and then hopefully they go. But we've done a lot over the years. I would say probably we've done about 50. The Cape Eagles, the little ones, and the odd barn owl. But mostly Cape Eagles, the little fluffy ones, and they do fine. We don't like to imprint them too much, because otherwise they're not scared of humans, But they do fine. You just keep them in a cage, feed them every day, and then I try and get roadkill, and then I just cut it up and use it. Yeah, especially in the holidays when the travellers are on the roads and they get damaged, the tortoises get whacked by the cars and then they bring them in. And some of them, well, I would say about 80% we can rehabilitate, we fix them. We keep them here because they take forever to recover. They granulate so slowly and they're just much slower animals. So we keep them and then we fiberglass the dog, we release them. I think there's something like 10 or 12 on the puppy in front of the army base. So we release them and they do fine. They do fine. That the bones got in that again and that takes a couple of years. But eventually they lose that fiberglass cast and off they go. Yeah, that's pro bono. I don't charge anything for that. The people just bring them and some people make donations and we're lucky we've got a little fund to buy the fiberglass because that's quite expensive. Yeah. But it works and often people just drop a 50 rand or whatever and then we use that for food, obviously for them, and then to fiberglass them and they stay here for a long time. Sometimes they're here for 6 months until they properly stabilized and that, Sometimes they injure their legs and then I have to amputate, but they also do very well with 3 legs, tortoises. They get around and I've got some very good farmers in the area that have got safe areas where they release them and some of them they're in the garden. So the 3-legged guys hang around in the gardens and they do very well. Yeah, I try and take 2 years a year, 2 weeks a year in July. It obviously used to coincide with the school holidays, but now my kids are at university, so we're a little bit more flexible. But we try and get away for 2 weeks in June. But then I just basically the shop and that's still open, but the service is closed. And people can deal with that. 2 weeks is not too long. You can't go 3 weeks. You can go 2 weeks. Then the guys can hang on long enough. But that's about all I do really. Is I go away for 2 weeks in June because it's quiet. The winter it's quieter for us. In the summer it's busy in this practice, so you can't go away over Christmas or New Year. But yeah, it's a thing with vets. You feel guilty when you go on holiday. It's crazy. I think it would probably be something like to just really appreciate what we've got in Oudtshoorn. We've got an amazing little area to live in. We've got the Swartback Mountains, we've got the sea 70 k's away. We actually live in the paradise. We do. We've got lovely flora and fauna, we've got good people, but also the people must appreciate the wildlife more and what's around it and conserve the ecosystem for the future. We get tortoises sometimes that are smashed up by little kids, and that to me is not acceptable. That's an education thing. That should not happen. And animals that are abused or that are injured or maliciously, that's a problem all over the world. But specifically in Oudtshoorn, it's such a nice community. You really don't need that. So yeah, that's what I would say. Is just be kind to everything, all the animals and all the people.